What's going on, everybody? Soliaker here, and this is the Dolton Trustees, and all they do is just keep coming with facts. So let's get into it.
Piggyback on something Trustee House said. I will be passing out a copy because I don't like when people deceive our residents to say they wasn't invited anywhere. So here is a copy of the email that shows who we went to, a copy that came from the clerk, and all those people that were attached to the email for the special board meeting. When we hear that someone said that, can you pass it out to everybody, that they haven't been invited, they got the same invite that we normally get if we were having a board meeting. We get a board packet, and that information is distributed to everybody. Also, I did mention yesterday, and I'll mention again today, just for substantial support of why we're here for this special board meeting, is I started a while ago, but to do a paper trail of November 13th requesting credit card statements from June to current. And as I did state that our finance director, who is Tangenique Miller, expressed in our finance town hall that we did not have any credit cards. So I do have the receipts of all the emails that show that this information has been requested. Yes. Also, one of the residents requested in the finance meeting, they asked the village administrator, Keith, where the budget was published, what newspaper was published. I also sent an email requesting that same information and a digital copy of the budget. So that's all I had. I had only made 20. Okay. But here is a copy. So people like to see tangible stuff. Nobody comes to no meetings to tell lies. All of this stuff is documented and can be FOIA'd if they choose to give it to you, of our emails and everything that we're entitled to, that this information is being put out, and it's truthful that we've been requesting this information and constantly being denied the information. The last thing I do want to bring to attention that I read off yesterday was the ordinance of 17-003 with adopting the village transparency policy. And I have a copy of it. I made 20 copies, so I'm sure somebody may need to get one. But if we
to all individuals to refer them
a copy, because just for general announcements, I just want to piggyback on something Trustee House said. I will be passing out a copy because I don't like when people deceive our residents to say they wasn't invited anywhere. So here is a copy of the email that shows who we went to, a copy that came from the clerk, and all those people that were attached to the email for the special board meeting. When we hear that someone said that, can you pass it out to everybody, that they haven't been invited, they got the same invite that we normally get if we were having a board meeting. We get a board packet, and that information is distributed to everybody. Also, I did mention yesterday, and I'll mention again today, just for substantial support of why we're here for this special board meeting, is I started a while ago, but to do a paper trail of November 13th requesting credit card statements from June to current. And as I did state that our finance director, who is Tangenique Miller, expressed in our finance town hall that we did not have any credit cards. So I do have the receipts of all the emails that show that this information has been requested. Yes. Also, one of the residents requested in the finance meeting, they asked the village administrator, Keith, where the budget was published, what newspaper was published. I also sent the email requesting that same information and a digital copy of the budget. So that's all I had. I had only made 20. Okay. But here is a copy. So people like to see tangible stuff. Nobody comes to no meetings to tell lies. All of this stuff is documented and can be FOIA'd if they choose to give it to you, of our emails and everything that we're entitled to, that this information is being put out, and it's truthful that we've been requesting this information and constantly being denied the information. The last thing I do want to bring to attention that I read off yesterday was the ordinance of 17-003 with adopting the village transparency policy. and I have a copy of it. I made 20 copies, so I'm sure somebody may need to get one. But if we are going by rules and ordinance, which we should be doing, and seems that our committee chair seems to not want to follow any ordinance on this, it states that Trustee Stanley Brown was the trustee at the time, and Mayor, who is now Mayor Hinyard, was the trustee. They wanted the same information that we're requesting today. So why would you not give us the same information that you wanted? So here's a copy of the ordinance, and people can also FOIA it too, that shows that we're only asking for what we're due. And we shouldn't have to, as trustees, have to beg people to give us what we want, but they want our vote. They want to spend our money, and they want our vote, and don't want to tell us what they're spending the money on. So I'm just making sure that when I say something, I'm standing behind what I say, and I have proof of what I say, not for somebody to just sit there and every meeting say somebody is lying. Can't nobody be lying every meeting. So just for general announcements, those are the documents. If I didn't have enough, I would gladly email you a copy or get you a copy. But I want people to see that these special meetings are required because we're not getting the information that is due to us to make the best financial decisions of the village.
Thank you, Trustee Belcher. Any additional comments from board members? Trustee Tammy Brown.
Okay. Good evening, residents. I just want to put something out there. For the past week, I have been getting phone calls regarding street lights that are not working, poles that are down, that cannot be repaired. Residents are being told that you can't get any poles put up, you can't get any street lights repaired because the trustees decided not to pay the bills, which is incorrect. On this warrant list, Mead Electric has always been paid. Mead Electric just put out boxes down Sibley in a total of $40,000 to $50,000 just to put up those Christmas decorations. So if Mead was not compensated, I'm sure Mead would not be out there again putting up those electrical boxes for Christmas decorations. And then I'm being told that they are being told if any resident call, you better tell them that no work is being done because the trustees are not being compensated.
Not paying the bills.
I'm not paying the bills, I'm sorry. I'm not paying the bills. That's not true. Mead is being paid and so is Lions. Those are the two that, the vendors that we work with to do any electrical work that's out here in the village. That's not true what they're being told. So everyone, please hear me, understand, Mead is being compensated. There's not a time that we have not paid Mead. One thing that you do in your house, you make sure your mortgage is paid, your lights, your gas, your water, the necessities are being paid. The same thing here in the village. They are being paid. One more other thing I wanted to review. We're always hearing Robert's Rules of Order. You're not following them. Well, they're not following Robert's Rules of Order. Last night, after the board meeting, after we made a motion to dismiss, the meeting should have been over. Yes. Over. Robert's Rules of Order is a set of rules for conducting meetings. One of the rules is that a quorum is a minimum number of members must be present for business to be conducted. If a quorum is not present, the only actions that can be taken are to adjourn the meeting. Not to go on and on and on. You want to talk about an illegal meeting? That was an illegal meeting. That's a secret squirrel meeting. Last night when you did not have a quorum to conduct business, the meeting should have been adjourned. Everybody should have went home. But of course, the mayor has to get her last say so. So we want to follow Robert's Rules of Order. Read this here. That's Robert's Rules of Order. If you do not have enough board members present, nothing else could happen. And it says any other motions or votes are invalid without a quorum. So now that we know, when we hear the other two trustees that say the secret squirrel meetings and things like that, know Robert's Rules of Orders before you start dishing out and backbiting and talking about folks. Read and understand and comprehend. This is a legal meeting here, legal, because you have enough trustees here to conduct the business. Last night was an illegal meeting. And then for them to say that they wasn't invited. You're invited to everything that we decide to do, even tea with the trustees, you're invited. You decide not to come, that's your thing. But every individual, every resident, everyone is invited to attend tea with the trustees, the special board meetings, and the meetings. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any comments, Trustee Norwood?
I do have a few. Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I would first like to send condolences to Mr. Cotton from our Dolton Park District. Everyone knows Mr. Cotton has not only been an outstanding resident, but he was a great employee at the Park District. I can always count on him as I'm walking around the field to see him out there on that lawnmower out there. So I'm going to miss him. We're going to miss him. We'd like to send our condolences. I also like to make mention of our tea with the trustees. If anyone missed the announcement yesterday, we are having our last tea with the trustees of the year. So we plan on making this the best of the year, right? So please join us. It'll be this Saturday in this very room, well, next door, at 9:30 a.m. until about 11 a.m. But please join us. Residents, feel free. We want to hear from you. We'd like to see you. Also, please feel free to follow the Dolton Trustees page. If you're on Facebook, I know some residents have made mention that they haven't been receiving any notifications. So if you all can, always feel free to follow our Dolton Facebook page. We kind of try to keep things updated on there. That's it for that. So in regards to everything else, guys, a lot of residents have been calling. We've been getting a lot of prayers. I think I've been prayed for more in this position than I have ever in my life, right? But I appreciate all the prayers. Some residents are still call us with questions, right? As Trustee Brown stated, there's this smoke and mirror thing that happens every meeting that we can count on like clockwork, right? Where they'll get the work done in the village, or some work will be done without any RFPs. And as I continue to say, I've been saying for the last few months, no one up here is opposed to having any residents have any work done for their home, for the village. If the lights are out or they have concerns, that's what we are here for. Our main concern is when the work is being done and we have no knowledge for it, is not budgeted for, is not approved for, and then we receive the information on the day of the meeting or a few days before the meeting, maybe 2 days to be precise. The meeting is Monday. We receive a warrant list on Saturday evening at 6:39 to be exact. And when we come to the meetings, they say, oh, well, just approve it. I mean, don't ask any questions. We say, well, where are the receipts? You don't need any receipts, just approve it. Where's the board approval? You don't need any board approval, just do the work. That's the biggest problem that we're having. For RFPs, how it should be done is they should come across the board. There's some work that needs to be done for the village. It should come across the entire, not just the board, right? Because we're also residents, we're trustees, but it's important for you all to know as taxpayers how your money is being spent. That's the most important thing, right? We all know that taxes are increasing steadily, and people want to know what they're getting for their money. They want to know why we're paying so many taxes. Like, okay, what is our benefits? And to us, that's fair. So that's why we ask that the RFPs are presented by the administration. Hey, if there's some work that needs to be done, how about we do it the right way? How about we have bids presented? You all come, that way we know that as a village, we're not overpaying for these services. So not only are these items not approved, or this work not approved, but we're overpaying for a lot of these services. So what does that mean? That means if we're overpaying, at some point you all are eventually going to pay for it in the long run, because we need this money. We have to operate as a village. And if they continue to spend money that we don't have, it has to come from somewhere. So I just want all the residents to know we're not opposed to the work, but we are hoping that at some point the administration can do this the right way. Have RFPs so that we all can have the information.
Ooh, wow, he got a bodyguard. All right, wow. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so have the RFPs presented to us so that as residents, you all know what is being spent also. You all know what work is being done. I mean, you all should know. It should be to the point where if bids are being done, you all know ahead of time so that when you come outside and you see a tree company out there, you know. You've already listened to the last month's board meeting and you know exactly what vendor are cutting our trees. Not us having 10 different vendors that we can't afford, not us receiving emails out of the blue from vendors who we haven't even heard of. We don't even know that they're doing work in the village, and then they say, hey, you all owe us money. The trustees are completely oblivious, and the vendors are upset with us. So this is a constant cycle that we're praying that this administration could correct for us so that we won't have all the infighting or we won't have all the questions, and that we're all on board as a community and we know exactly what's being done, and that we can afford the work, most importantly. We've been locked out of office. We've been locked out of systems, but guess what? We're still here. We're still going to do the work for the people. And I thank you all for hanging in us with us. We are going to stay prayed up and hope that this administration provides us with the information that we need so that we can make the appropriate decisions regarding you all's tax dollars. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So with that, I'm going to add a few comments, and I want to say, gratefully, I want to acknowledge our village administrator and thank you for your presence and coming here today. Freedom is present with us. Overall, there's just a couple of comments, and like we come in and it still is a town divided, unfortunately. Where it's okay, what did this person say? What did that person say? I do stand with and commend the Board of Trustees not only for the comments, but also for making sure that we have receipts and we do everything that within our power to provide that documentation to support it. We encourage every resident to continue to challenge both sides to make sure that we have documentation, because we really need our community to move forward. The divisiveness and everything else doesn't help, but neither does giving false information or last minute information. So we want to make sure that we keep the village agenda at the forefront. We attempt to do that every time. Second point that I want to make during general comments before proceeding is there's one piece on here that we talk, at every meeting it's the meeting of the Board of Trustees. And I have to emphasize that is very key, because we end up fighting a lot of times, but the meeting is for the Board of Trustees to ask questions, to get some responses. And what ends up happening is when we ask questions, there's a lot of tension and anger versus an honest effort to give responses and information. And we see it play out with the citizens address where there's no answers being given. We see it play out with the way that the responses are coming to the board, and that's the reason that we see a lot of the back and forth. That's the reason, that's a portion of the reason we are sitting here today versus being able to have one meeting that would be easier for the residents, for the board, and for the community as a whole. So we want to, God willing, the tension will subside and we can start having conversations. As a board, we have an obligation, and I say we are serious about our obligation for transparency. And we're not asking, at this point, I'm not even worried about whether or not the information to me. I am going to encourage and ask, as I have before, the information be put on the website. That information can go to all residents. I will get my information from the website because everybody's entitled to it. There's nothing that's really being done secretly or hidden. As we've mentioned, this meeting has been posted and everybody has the notification. We appreciate those who have come, and we're going to proceed to do our best to handle the business that we have documentation for, to inform the community of the documentation that we do not have, and move forward what can be moved forward. Having said that,
can I interrupt you for a second? I just want to
You only get
interrupt
one
him for a
comment, Trustee
second. No,
Brown.
I'm just, I'm sorry.
Trustee
No,
Brown.
no, no. You really need to read what you just said. Can you please read that when it says notice of regular board meeting of trustees? Can you read that? What that says, please?
I sure
Okay.
will. So, public notice is hereby given to all members and residents of the Village of Dolton and interested parties that at the call of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Dolton, special meeting of the Village of Dolton Board of Trustees will be held at the hour of 6:30 on December 5th, 2023. The public is invited to present public comments to the matters to be discussed and acted upon.
Okay.
The following matters may be discussed or acted upon at a special board meeting.
Okay. So that means acted upon. That doesn't mean to make a comment and have a seat. So I just want everybody to listen to that and take heed, take notice to that. That's all.
And then I'll further the point and then transition to the clerk's report. As the board member, we always, and many in this room, will have conversations with, because we want to get input from the residents on how we're making our vote. And if we have, so we should not be limited to one comment and then move on. If a board member has 3 questions, then we would be seeking 3 answers. If we have 2, we are seeking 2, and if the information is clearer or if we communicate better, then it doesn't have to happen in a public display. It can be handled more amicably as other communities. In this environment, unfortunately, we find ourselves in tension that probably could be avoided. From there, I'm going to transition to the village clerk's report. Clerk Key, the floor is yours.
Good evening, everyone. This meeting tonight, a special meeting, was called also because typically when I submit minutes to be approved, they're not included on the agenda. So if it's not on the agenda, then they can't be approved. That was one of the issues that my deputy clerk had at the board meeting she attended for me, that the minutes were not actually included on the agenda. So tonight I have the minutes to be approved for October the 2nd and November the 6th, and I'm asking that this board will approve the minutes for those 2 dates. Motion to approve.
I'll ask for a motion to approve the meeting minutes of October 2nd, 2023 and November 6th, 2023. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve the October 2nd, 2023 and November 6th, 2023 minutes presented by the clerk.
I'll second.
Okay, hearing a motion and a second, any discussion?